If extraterrestrial life exists somewhere in the universe, what might an alien actually look like when we finally encounter one? Science fiction has trained us to imagine a familiar figure, a large head, enormous eyes, gray skin, and thin limbs. Change the skin, enlarge the eyes, remove some hair, and most fictional aliens still resemble modified versions of ourselves. They usually have faces, paired eyes, recognizable limbs, and bodies that move much like familiar animals here on Earth. But evolution has no reason to reproduce the human body plan on a planet shaped by a completely different history. Even on Earth, an octopus, a redwood tree, and a microscopic bacterium barely seem part of the same living world. Yet all three evolved on the same planet, using related carbon chemistry beneath the light of the same sun. Imagine evolution under different gravity, chemistry, temperatures, oceans, atmospheres, and billions of years of completely independent history. An extraterrestrial organism might have no face, eyes, or skeleton, perhaps nothing we would immediately recognize as a body. The first alien life we discover may not arrive in a spacecraft or send any message across the stars. It may appear as an unusual chemical pattern, microscopic cell, or ecosystem hidden beneath kilometers of alien ice. To imagine realistic aliens, we must stop asking how they resemble us and ask what their environments would allow. Every confirmed organism on Earth uses carbon chemistry, from the smallest known microbes to the largest animals ever evolved. Carbon is remarkably versatile, forming stable bonds with itself and many elements to produce an enormous diversity of molecules. These molecules provide the complexity required for membranes, metabolism, information storage, reproduction, and the machinery operating within living cells. This does not prove alien life requires carbon, but makes carbon a scientifically compelling place to begin searching. Water is another major clue because its liquid form provides an effective medium for many complex chemical reactions. Wherever scientists find evidence of persistent liquid water, the possibility of habitable chemistry immediately becomes far more interesting. But habitability does not mean habitation, and discovering water is very different from proving something actually lives there. Mars once possessed rivers, lakes, and much wetter environments, leaving geological evidence preserved across its ancient surface. Today, Mars is cold, dry, and radiation-battered, making its surface far less hospitable than billions of years ago. If Martian life ever emerged, ancient microbial traces are more realistic targets than complex creatures walking its desert today. Mars is not the only nearby world where astrobiologists search for environments capable of supporting interesting chemistry. Farther away, several icy moons conceal environments that may contain even more liquid water than Earth. Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons, is covered by a fractured shell of water ice spanning its entire surface. Multiple lines of evidence indicate that a vast global salty ocean likely exists beneath Europa's frozen exterior. Sunlight cannot reach the ocean beneath kilometers of ice, so any ecosystem there would require alternative energy sources. On Earth, life already demonstrates that sunlight is not the only way ecosystems can obtain the energy they need. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, hydrothermal systems support communities beginning with microbes that use chemical energy instead of sunlight. These organisms perform chemosynthesis, extracting energy through chemical reactions involving compounds released or transformed around the seafloor. Europa may have a rocky seafloor beneath its ocean, potentially allowing water to interact chemically with the underlying rock. Whether Europa has active hydrothermal systems capable of supporting life remains uncertain, and no European organism has been detected. If microbial life exists there, it could spend its entire evolutionary history beneath ice, permanently separated from the stars. Such organisms need not resemble fish, because evolution would respond to Europa's chemistry, pressure, energy sources, and environmental stability. Their world could consist of darkness, water, ice, minerals, currents, and chemical gradients instead of sunlight and open skies. Vision might offer little advantage in permanent darkness, while chemical sensing, touch, vibration, or other mechanisms become more useful. Complex European animals remain speculation. The strongest scientific question is whether this environment could support microbial life at all. Another icy moon, Enceladus, lets scientists investigate an underground ocean without actually drilling through its thick frozen crust. Near its south pole, enormous fractures release plumes of water vapor and icy particles directly into surrounding space. NASA's Cassini spacecraft repeatedly crossed these plumes, allowing instruments to sample material originating from the moon's hidden ocean. The plumes contain salts and organic compounds, while other measurements provide evidence consistent with hydrothermal activity inside Enceladus. Scientists also identified phosphorus in ice grains from its subsurface ocean, an element essential to life as we know it. None proves Enceladus is inhabited, but together these discoveries make it one of astrobiology's most compelling destinations. If life exists in these oceans, our first confirmed extraterrestrial organism may be microscopic rather than intelligent or humanoid. That discovery alone would transform biology by showing that life independently began somewhere beyond our own planet. Not every potential habitat requires rocky ground, and researchers have considered whether life might persist entirely within planetary atmospheres. Gas giants such as Jupiter have no ordinary solid surface where an animal could stand beneath their clouds. Instead, pressure and temperature continuously increase with depth until conditions become radically different from anything near Earth's surface. Some atmospheric layers can temporarily contain temperatures and pressures less extreme than regions far above or below them. This inspired researchers to explore hypothetical organisms capable of remaining suspended within the atmosphere of a giant planet. Carl Sagan and Edwin Salpeter famously explored this possibility for Jupiter, imagining organisms called sinkers, floaters, and hunters. Their proposal was a scientific thought experiment, not evidence that enormous living creatures actually inhabit Jupiter's clouds. A hypothetical floater might maintain buoyancy using internal gases, allowing it to remain within a favorable atmospheric layer. Atmospheric currents could provide transportation, while chemical compounds and sunlight at certain altitudes might offer usable sources of energy. But Jupiter presents enormous challenges, including violent circulation, changing chemistry, intense radiation, and destructive pressures at greater depths. We currently have no evidence of Jovian organisms, much less enormous predators drifting through the planet's turbulent clouds. Still, this thought experiment demonstrates something important. Alien ecology does not necessarily require forests, continents, or even solid ground. A living world might theoretically exist entirely within an atmosphere, never touching a surface throughout its evolutionary history. Earth itself already provides remarkable examples of organisms surviving conditions once considered far too hostile for life. Extremophiles thrive in environments that would quickly kill humans, revealing how narrow our personal definition of habitability really is. Some microbes flourish in acidic water, while others tolerate extreme salinity, crushing pressure, severe cold, or near boiling temperatures. Hyperthermophilic microbes can grow above 100 degrees Celsius when pressure keeps water liquid, especially around deep-sea hydrothermal environments. Other organisms survive extraordinary ionizing radiation, although surviving radiation is very different from simply feeding upon radioactivity. Deinococcus radiodurans, for example, is famous for repairing extensive cellular damage caused by radiation and other extreme stresses. Certain melanin-containing fungi have attracted research because ionizing radiation may influence their growth and metabolism under some conditions. But saying these organisms simply eat radiation significantly exaggerates what scientific experiments have actually demonstrated. At the opposite extreme, microbes can remain viable in frozen environments for long periods while their metabolism slows dramatically. However, no known organism actively grows in the near vacuum and near absolute zero conditions found within interstellar space. Extremophiles expand the boundaries of known habitability, but they do not make every extreme environment biologically possible. Their greatest lesson is simple. Life can exploit environmental niches that humans would never choose for themselves. This encourages astrobiologists to search beyond comfortable Earth-like landscapes when evaluating potentially habitable environments across other worlds. But what if extraterrestrial life does not even use the same chemical foundation as every organism we currently know? Carbon dominates terrestrial biology, yet scientists ask whether completely different chemical systems could support something recognizable as life. One famous candidate is silicon, the element positioned directly below carbon within the same group of the periodic table. Like carbon, silicon can form 4 chemical bonds, initially making it seem attractive as an alternative foundation for complex molecules. But carbon forms an exceptionally diverse range of stable compounds under environmental conditions compatible with life on Earth. Silicon chemistry has important limitations, especially in oxygen-rich environments, where it readily forms stable solids such as silicon dioxide. This makes the popular image of crystal aliens breathing oxygen and exhaling sand far more speculative than often presented. No silicon-based organism has been discovered, and science cannot describe a complete silicon ecosystem known to function naturally. Still, studying alternative chemistry helps identify which properties of terrestrial life are universal and which simply reflect Earth's history. The same reasoning applies to solvents, because water may not be the only liquid capable of supporting complex chemistry. Ammonia is often discussed as an alternative solvent under colder conditions, although ammonia-based life remains entirely hypothetical. Liquid ammonia can dissolve many substances and participate in chemistry, but its properties differ substantially from those of water. Such organisms would not simply be Earth animals with ammonia replacing the water normally contained inside their cells. Their membranes, metabolism, molecular machinery, and environmental requirements might operate through a fundamentally different chemical system. We do not know whether such chemistry can evolve into life because no example has ever been observed. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, provides an even stranger natural laboratory for chemistry far beyond familiar terrestrial conditions. Titan has a thick nitrogen-rich atmosphere and remarkable landscapes shaped by rivers, lakes, clouds, and seasonal rain. At Titan's surface temperature, water behaves like solid rock, while methane and ethane can remain in liquid form. Lakes and seas of liquid hydrocarbons gather near Titan's polar regions beneath its dense, hazy orange atmosphere. This makes Titan the only known world beyond Earth with stable bodies of liquid observed on its surface. Scientists have therefore explored whether extremely exotic chemistry might potentially support life within liquid methane or ethane. Such organisms would operate near -180 degrees Celsius, where ordinary terrestrial biochemistry would proceed extremely slowly. Their cell boundaries could not simply resemble Earth's lipid membranes, because the surrounding chemical solvent would be completely different. Researchers have proposed theoretical membrane-like structures that might function in liquid methane, but their viability remains debated and unconfirmed. No Titan organism has been detected, and currently no evidence shows that its methane lakes contain biology. Yet Titan remains valuable because scientists can study complex organic chemistry under conditions radically different from those on Earth. It reminds us that organic molecules do not automatically mean life because complex organic chemistry can occur without biology. Even if alien life uses familiar carbon chemistry, its intelligence might be organized in ways that challenge another human assumption. We instinctively imagine intelligence within an individual body and single brain, because that resembles how our own consciousness works. On Earth, some of nature's most sophisticated collective behaviors emerge from groups whose individual members follow relatively simple rules. Ant colonies construct complex nests, allocate workers, locate food, defend territory, and adapt without one ant commanding everything. Honeybees exchange information about food locations and collectively make decisions when a swarm searches for a new home. Termite colonies build elaborate structures whose ventilation and organization emerge through interactions among thousands or millions of individuals. None of this means insect colonies possess human-like shared consciousness or think together as one giant brain. But these collective behaviors demonstrate that sophisticated problem-solving can emerge naturally without any form of centralized control. Slime molds provide another example. forming networks that redistribute resources and solve simple spatial problems without a nervous system. These examples let us imagine alien intelligence distributed across many bodies, rather than concentrated inside a single skull. A hypothetical extraterrestrial colony might exchange chemical, acoustic, electrical, or other signals depending upon its evolutionary environment. If communication became sufficiently rich, natural selection could potentially favor increasingly complex coordination throughout the entire distributed system. Whether such a system could develop consciousness, advanced technology, or scientific reasoning remains completely unknown to science. But it challenges our assumption that an intelligent alien must exist as one individual standing before us. Perhaps alien intelligence could be a colony, network, ecosystem, or something that biology on Earth has never produced. There is another possibility. The most advanced extraterrestrial intelligence we eventually encounter might no longer be biological at all. Biological bodies are remarkable products of evolution, but remain vulnerable to radiation, disease, aging, temperature, pressure, and limited lifespans. An advanced civilization might therefore develop machines capable of surviving environments that would destroy its original biological organisms. This does not mean advanced civilizations inevitably abandon biology. No evidence shows that such a transition must occur. But machine descendants or autonomous artificial systems remain plausible possibilities when scientists discuss long-lived technological civilizations. Machines could potentially tolerate vacuum, hibernation, radiation, and long interstellar journeys more easily than unprotected biological travelers. Instead of sending living passengers between stars, civilizations might launch compact robotic probes capable of operating for centuries. One theoretical concept takes this further: a robotic probe capable of using local resources to construct copies of itself. These are called self-replicating or von Neumann probes, after mathematician John von Neumann's work on self-reproducing systems. Such a probe could reach another star, obtain raw materials, manufacture descendants, then send copies toward additional systems. Repeated many times, this replication could spread technological artifacts across enormous regions without biological travelers making every journey. No extraterrestrial self-replicating probe has been discovered, and constructing one remains far beyond humanity's current engineering capabilities. Yet this concept changes alien encounters. Our first technological visitor could be a machine whose creators are nowhere nearby. It might even arrive long after the civilization that originally designed and built it had completely disappeared. Searching for extraterrestrial intelligence therefore means looking beyond biological bodies toward possible products of advanced technology. Radio signals are one possible technosignature, but advanced technologies could potentially reveal themselves through many other measurable effects. Researchers consider unusual lasers, atmospheric pollutants, artificial illumination, excess infrared radiation, and large-scale engineering as possible technosignature. One famous concept is the Dyson sphere, inspired by civilizations potentially capturing a large fraction of their star's energy. A completely solid shell surrounding an entire star is generally not considered the most realistic interpretation of this concept. A vast swarm of independent energy-collecting structures orbiting a star is more plausible and often called a Dyson swarm. Such structures would absorb stellar energy and release waste heat, potentially creating unusual infrared signatures across interstellar distances. Astronomers have searched for unusual energy distributions, but no confirmed extraterrestrial Dyson structure has ever been identified. Natural astrophysical phenomena can produce strange signals, so extraordinary observations require carefully eliminating more ordinary explanations. This principle matters because our universe is already filled with objects stranger than anything early astronomers ever expected. Pulsars produced signals so regular that their discoverers briefly considered whether an artificial origin needed to be excluded. They proved to be rapidly rotating neutron stars, reminding us that unexplained phenomena do not automatically mean extraterrestrials. The same scientific caution must guide every serious search for technological civilizations and intelligent life beyond Earth. Radio signals are one possible technosignature, but advanced technologies could potentially reveal themselves through many other measurable effects. Researchers consider unusual lasers, atmospheric pollutants, artificial illumination, excess infrared radiation, and large-scale engineering as possible technosignatures. One famous concept is the Dyson sphere, inspired by civilizations potentially capturing a large fraction of their star's energy. A completely solid shell surrounding an entire star is generally not considered the most realistic interpretation of this concept. A vast swarm of independent energy-collecting structures orbiting a star is more plausible and often called a Dyson swarm. Such structures would absorb stellar energy and release waste heat, potentially creating unusual infrared signatures across interstellar distances. Astronomers have searched for unusual energy distributions, but no confirmed extraterrestrial Dyson structure has ever been identified. Natural astrophysical phenomena can produce strange signals, so extraordinary observations require carefully eliminating more ordinary explanations. This principle matters because our universe is already filled with objects stranger than anything early astronomers ever expected. Pulsars produced signals so regular that their discoverers briefly considered whether an artificial origin needed to be excluded. They proved to be rapidly rotating neutron stars, reminding us that unexplained phenomena do not automatically mean extraterrestrials. The same scientific caution must guide every serious search for technological civilizations and intelligent life beyond Earth. We began with the familiar gray alien, a creature that looks suspiciously like a distorted reflection of ourselves. But scientifically plausible possibilities can lead us much farther from that familiar image than Hollywood usually does. The first form could be carbon-based life in hidden oceans, perhaps microscopic and powered by chemistry instead of sunlight. The second might use exotic biochemistry with unfamiliar solvents or molecular systems, although no alternative biology is confirmed. The third could distribute intelligence across colonies or networks, challenging the assumption that every mind belongs to one body. The fourth could be technological, autonomous machines or artifacts operating long after the biological civilization that created them. Beyond them lies deeper speculation, from plasma organisms and dark matter life to hypothetical forms of planet-scale consciousness. These ideas are fascinating thought experiments, but current evidence gives no reason to present them as known extraterrestrial life. The scientifically interesting mystery is already enormous, without pretending that our most imaginative possibilities have actually been discovered. We have one confirmed example of life in the universe, and every known organism belongs to Earth's biological family. This sample of one makes determining which features of life are universal, and which are planetary accidents extraordinarily difficult. Finding one independent microbe beyond Earth would finally give biology something unprecedented, a second origin of life for comparison. If that life used unfamiliar chemistry, organization, or information systems, our definition of life itself might need expansion. So the important question is not whether aliens have huge eyes, strange skin, tentacles, machines, or recognizable bodies. The real question is more unsettling. If truly alien life is already out there, would we even recognize it?